History is more than dates. It's about survival in extraordinary times. Few figures in WY are as complex as General George S. Patton, Jr. Patton was a brilliant, controversial warrior, admired for his strategy, feared for his ferocity. To his men, he was both an inspiring leader and a demanding, often merciless commander. Patton's story is a paradox. Military genius shadowed by personal failings. He led the Third Army on a legendary advance across Europe, yet his prejudices and temper left deep scars. Patton believed in reincarnation, fueling his relentless drive, but not his empathy. Understanding Patton means confronting the uncomfortable truths of leadership and war. Can we celebrate his victories while condemning his actions? The answer is never simple. His soldiers learned to fight, endure, and survive, not just against the enemy, but sometimes against Patton himself. This is the story of survival under a complicated leader. We'll follow the Third Army's path, witness Patton's tactics, and confront the darker side of his legacy. Through the eyes of his soldiers, we'll see the raw reality of war and leadership. History's greatest figures are rarely simple heroes or villains. They are as complex as the times they lived in. Patton's philosophy was simple audacity, always audacity. For the Third Army, this meant relentless, high-speed advances after Normandy. Soldiers lived in perpetual motion, sleeping in tanks, eating on the move, always pushing forward. There was no time for comfort or rest. Survival meant adapting to constant exhaustion and scarcity. Patton's presence at the front inspired and pressured his men. There was no room for hesitation. His leadership demanded speed and aggression, forging a hardened, mobile force. Soldiers became masters of improvisation, making quick camps and living off cold rations. The pace was brutal, but it created a battle-tested army. The Third Army's survival depended on matching Patton's furious tempo. They learned to fight, move, and endure, because in Patton's army the only direction was forward. His command style left no space for weakness, only relentless drive. The men survived not by training, but by living the reality of mobile warfare every day. Under Patton, survival was a test of endurance, adaptability, and sheer willpower. The paradox. His demands broke some, but forged others into legends. Patton's victories were shadowed by his lack of empathy. The infamous slapping incidents in Sicily revealed his harshness. He berated and struck soldiers suffering from what we now know as PTSD. Patton saw psychological wounds as weakness, not injury. His actions betrayed the duty to care for his men's well-being. The scandal nearly ended his career, forcing public apologies and a temporary sidelining. For his soldiers, it was a chilling reminder. Their leader could be as dangerous as the enemy. Respect for Patton's skill was mixed with fear of his temper. The lesson was clear. Survival meant hiding fear and exhaustion, even from your own commander. Patton's cruelty added another layer of hardship to the battlefield. Patton's flaws went beyond temper. His diaries revealed deep-seated prejudices. He was openly anti-Semitic, showing contempt for Holocaust survivors under his care. Patton also doubted the abilities of African-American soldiers, resisting their inclusion in combat. His racism and arrogance created barriers for those fighting under his command. Patton's worldview was rigid, judging others by a narrow martial code. These prejudices cast a dark shadow over his achievements. His legacy is complicated, a liberator who harbored the very hatreds he fought against. Tactical brilliance and moral failure coexisted in one man. Amid Patton's prejudice, the 761st Tank Battalion, the Black Panthers, proved their worth. Initially doubted by Patton, they faced both enemy fire and racism from their own army. Despite this, they fought with extraordinary courage, spearheading attacks and enduring brutal combat. Their skill and resilience forced even Patton to acknowledge their effectiveness. The Black Panthers became masters of their tanks, developing tactics on the fly and never breaking under pressure. Their legacy is a powerful counter to the racism of the era. They fought for victory and for respect, earning recognition only decades later. The 761st story is central to the Patton paradox. Doubted by their general, they became indispensable. In war, character and courage, not color, defined a soldier's worth. The Black Panthers did more than survive. They excelled. Patton's rapid advance created a supply crisis. The Red Ball Express, run mostly by African-American drivers, kept the Third Army moving, braving danger and exhaustion. Still, shortages were constant, forcing soldiers to improvise. Fuel was scavenged from abandoned depots or even other units. Food was foraged, bartered, or hunted, anything to break the monotony of rations. Medics used captured supplies. Mechanics cannibalized wrecks for parts. Survival meant resourcefulness, making do with whatever was at hand. This culture of improvisation became the Third Army's hallmark. Patton's drive created scarcity, but also forged adaptable, inventive soldiers. They survived by their wits as much as their weapons. Patton's army was built for attack, not defense, but during the Battle of the Bulge, they had to pivot, fast. Patton's rapid redeployment to Bastogne was a logistical feat, but survival meant enduring brutal winter and chaos. Soldiers battled frostbite, kept weapons from freezing, and improvised navigation when maps and radios failed. Junior leaders made critical decisions on the fly, guiding men through confusion and danger. The Third Army's resilience was forged in these moments, self-sufficient, adaptable, and tough. The cost was high, but the lessons were lasting. By war's end, these men were transformed. Hardened survivors of Patton's relentless command. Their endurance was the true measure of Patton's paradox. Patton remains a figure of brilliance and contradiction. His tactical genius won battles and saved lives, but his personal failings left deep wounds. He inspired men to greatness, yet held prejudices that undermined his legacy. Patton's story challenges us to reject simple narratives. He was neither hero nor villain, but both. His soldiers learned survival, adaptation, and the cost of relentless leadership. The 761st Tank Battalion's excellence stands as a rebuke to his racism. The slapping incidents remind us of the need for compassion in command. Patton's legacy is a call to remember history in all its complexity. We must study his strategies, but also his failures of character. The survival of his men was as much about their resilience as his command. Their story compels us to seek leaders with both skill and moral vision. In the end, survival is not just about living, it's about holding on to our humanity.